had grocery stores, they had corner stores, liquor stores, everything that somebody made, they had to get it from the manufacturer, the person that made it, or you couldn't have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, it was a brother building cars before Henry Ford using the assembly line method, but he don't get the credit because it breaks the caste system. So they're using all of those different tools of war and the claiming of a territory, claiming of somebody's birthright land. It got to be nobody from the land that's objective. Mm-hmm. They all got to surrender and submit. In order to get that many people to surrender and submit, you got to miseducate them all. And then you got to take out the ones that they call the dissident. Right? The dissident is the one who they say is bucking the system. He bucking the system. I mean, he don't want to go along with the fairy tale. He wants some real information to be put on the floor. How am I supposed to be paying child support and I don't got no contract to pay? Right. Show me the contract. Where the contract at? Right? So they want you to go through their system so they can tie you down to a contract. Adhesion contracts are fraud contracts. And fraud vitiates all contracts. Mm-hmm. If you don't voluntarily enter into a contract, it's a fraudulent contract. All of these treaties are fraudulent contracts for two reasons instead of one. One, they was all predicated upon fraud. The fraud comes in when they had ulterior motive for putting the treaty out in the first place.
Right.
Now, which takes us to the second reason why the fraud on the treaties are fraudulent. Because they never honored one. And they haven't been able to produce one that they honored. But they haven't also produced one that the native didn't honor, that he gave up in good faith. Right? Yeah, we mad at the $5 Indians because they're Mongolians. But guess what? Just like we didn't know at one point that we wasn't from Africa, they don't know they from Asia.
Right. Go ahead, Robert.
So we mad at them for being taught our history is their history. But one thing we got to realize, in order for them to be able to practice our dances on their rituals, so one of us had to teach it to them. Because it don't come natural to them like it do us.
No.
So we had to have some of us teaching it to them. And one of the things that they knew that was going on in the early reservation days, and this is how we got blended in with them too. A lot of them are coming from off our bloodlines by secondary descent. Right? And that means that somebody from our bloodline married into their bloodline. So now they got a drop of blood.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In the great melding pot. Where one drop of blood make you black. Lost at sea. Right? But if you can pass, then go about passing so that you can reap the benefits out of society. And there's more of them passing now than it is does not.
Right.
But we don't understand genetics, phenotype, genotype in order to be able to read the activated one drop of blood when we see it in the other people. When they came, they couldn't dance. They couldn't catch a beat. They couldn't sing. Their vocal cords was undeveloped. Yeah. Their muscle tone was undeveloped. Now they bodybuilders. Looking like original Mississippian. With the striations between the fibers of the muscle. Come on now.
Yeah.
If you don't know phenotype, it won't make sense. If you don't know what came over here, you won't even be able to recognize what's here. The king, the one gave them the right to rape and pillage the women of the land. Because that was part of the spoils of war. Now we live in a rape culture.
King James, to be exact. If we can put it right. Huh? Yeah. 1611 King James. 1611 King James.
Now remember, 1611, we had already been fighting them people 200 years.
Yeah. Since the Spanish conquistadors, yeah.
Or at least 100 years.
Yeah.
Right? So they had to figure out how to beat us by strategy because they couldn't beat us by straight up force because all tribes came.
Yeah.
And this is where you get your runaway slaves joining on to the tribes to fight the colonizers. Well, no runaway slaves, them was the chiefs from other parts of the land, and they was leaving their wives at their big mama house along the way. That's how we all got concentrated in the South. But then they had to come up with something to excuse us going back home, so they created something called an industrial revolution. And say we all left from the South to go find work. We ain't never had no shortage of work. We ain't need their factories for work. We used to outwork everybody. They used to burn our job sites down so that they can keep up with the quota that we were setting the precedent for.
That makes sense.
We didn't have a problem working on the family farm because everybody understood the need of everybody on the farm. All hands on deck. Everybody had a job.
That's right.
And if one job didn't get done, everybody knew it because it affected somebody else. And they started early.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have a problem working, but they perpetuate the myth that we've been lazy.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
we gotta.
Oh, I thought you go ahead. My bad. I thought you was done.
We got a predisposition to run away from captivity, and they called it drapetomania. We created a word for somebody who refused to be forced to work for free against their will, and they called it a psychological disorder, drapetomania. I'm a forever drapetomaniac. I forever don't want to work for these SOBs. And you know what they said the remedy was?
What?
Working till you damn near die.
Working to the bone.
Yeah, they said that's one of the remedies. They got another term for being lazy for refusing to do the work. I forgot what that term was. But that's the guy who they patterned that Willie Lynch letter after. Making up all that maintaining slave nonsense.
It was Dirty Moore who put it together. Hey, Rod, you said I'm glad I got my notepad out. See, I got this new thing. Well, I'm gonna have because I'm gonna do AI on this joint. Hey, but you said right here, you said that who taught them. I think I got an answer to that. Who taught them? I think the Black Boule became those guys that were teaching them. They became known as today as the Black Boule, but they started out educate because they all high in the education right now. Still to this day, they control the Black Boule. They had to be like the people that was teaching them, teaching these people how to be like us. What you think about that, right?
They was clergy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The American Black Boule Society wasn't created yet.
Yeah, I'm saying like the start, like I'm thinking like it wasn't created yet, but I think what the people that was teaching them, that eventually that group, that organization, whatever it was called then, it counted into the Black Boule. I bet you, like a partial. I bet you, it just make a lot of sense to me.
Sometimes, but some of those tribes took sides with us.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that took sides with us, I'm inclined to believe that somebody that was from us taught them.
Right.
Right. The ones that look at us like pale face look at us,
mm-hmm.
They're the same thing. Them the ones that took sides with the pale face. But right. Pale face was the one that took sides with the dirty Moors.
Right.
Hey, so you gotta remember, it's a premise, right, to a piece of property to everybody involved in this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It depends on who wins.
Mm-hmm.
If the tribes win and we able to know who we are on this land, then the land is reallocated back to us.
Mm-hmm.
If the Invaders win. All of them people that been pretending to be us, they get the land, but they lost.
Right.
They lost. So now you see, they running back bloodlines of people on reservations, and certain ones being deported to Asia.
Mm-hmm.
When that's not a common uh, knowledge part of that 14th Amendment birthright citizenship thing, but they lost the war. They took sides with the wrong people. The ones they ain't bothering took sides with us.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that they bothering, they probably own casinos and all type of stuff, and now they kicking and screaming on their way out the door. You took sides with the wrong mofo.
Yeah.
You bet on the wrong horse, baby. You out. And now you got ICE putting out commercials trying to convince the police to leave the police force and come work for ICE. Right? Because that's under the control of the office of the president. It ain't under control of your city government. And all of these police don't know that if they don't get off the force soon, they ass out of there.
Interesting.
And I was just doing what I was told is not an excuse, just like it wasn't in Nuremberg. Crimes against humanity is crimes against humanity. Even if you wasn't the one who actually perpetrated the crime, you was part of the network of the criminals that did the crime. You was their brotherhood.
Right.
Right? You kept their secrets about the dirt they did because you knew they did it. Because every police force got dirty cops on it. And the good cops is just as bad because they don't say nothing.
That's right.
Right? They even started making movies about the one cop who decided to out the dirty cops, get outcast, and now he got to go fight crime by himself because he can't get back up. They made movies about it.
Mm-hmm. All of them like this. It's about cops.
Right. But see, nobody's going back. Like, they traced the mafia back to Sicily, but don't nobody want to go tracing the police back. Where they come from? Who made them slave patrols first? Who did the slave patrols work for? See, if you don't ask those questions, you can't get back to the source of the information. We start asking them questions, AI tell you who it is.
Yeah.
All of the police charters come through two fraternal organizations, the sister organizations, and the home organization is London.
Yeah.
The handbooks come from London. There is not a law book in America copyrighted in America that you use in court, case law. When you get your congressional bills passed in the laws, they don't get copyright over here. They get copyright in London. You open up the cover of almost any legal book, Northwest Reporter, Southwest Reporter, United States Code, annotated, Corpus Juris Secundum, they all copyrighted in Europe. Ain't it a copyright office in DC?
Right.
Why they got to be copyrighted in Europe? Because the judiciary is chartered out of Europe under the Bar Association, the barristers. A lot of these judges, they think they just got a good job. They don't know their ass finna go to jail too. Lawyers, judges, prosecutors, they all out of there. They done waged war on us. We didn't wage war on them. They part of the war machine that's assaulting us. It's just a matter of time for it all come out. We just waiting on them to do the Obama announcement so we can get this ball rolling. Because they already did what they gonna do with him.
Yeah.
So now they can come on out and tell us about the central cast, the several clones and all that. They can tell us all that now.
Yeah.
Because we can see it is playing out in our face. Right? And then you got the Sleepy Joe situation. All they work for old man Bush. Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Bill and Hillary Clinton,
That's right.
Jared Bush, George Bush. Ronald Reagan was the arm was twisted to work for him when he didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
We don't be paying attention enough to be astute of what's really going on. But it's over with.
And he was in on Kennedy getting whatever got done to him. We don't know what I'm hearing someone different. I'm hearing some new stuff.
That's how he got his. That's how he got his rank.
Yeah.
That was his skull and crossbones master mission. Oversee the assassination of JFK. He used his family oil rigs as his justification for being in the location, moving the shipment of oil.
Oh, yeah.
Oliver Dorf was upstairs in the auto, what they call it, the book depository, and George Bush was leaning on the wall downstairs, watching it all play out. Oliver North wasn't the shooter.
Man, we saw somebody said it was a driver. Then I saw another guy say that his wife had some kind of device that blew a piece of his head up. I didn't heard. We heard some crazy myths. But this was another thing I wanted to add before we go to the next clip, because we're going through some time. You said something about the Indus Valley. I got evidence proving that the Indus River was the Colorado River, and that the Indians, where the Colorado River ran down, that's the Indus Valley, because Zechariah Stitchen not only allude to the fact in his books, and then some of the Atlanta documents that I went through, where she was talking about how they try to switch her land around, and by her team. I got some clips in here on that. Actually, I got some clips that I'm gonna play on that. Yeah, but there's just one thing. Let me roll that next clip, because we gotta roll. Get some good stuff in here. We gotta get through some of this stuff in America, and in the Bible when they talking about Egypt and going to Egypt, and they refer to corn. We know that Texas is one of the number one. Texas and Louisiana, mainly Texas, is the number one producer of corn. And the Nebraska area, the middle, what they call the Midwest, or what they call the Central Time Zone. Our center time zone on the Turtle Island is the most productive in corn, and so, and then based on the maps, the Gulf of the Gulf of Mississippi, or the Gulf of Mexico was the Gulf of Egypt. What's your take on that, Rod? And with all the stuff that's tying up with all the Egyptian artifacts and things.
Well, the first thing you got to realize is the Nile is what they call an architectural marvel of ancient times.
Mm-hmm.
The Nile didn't used to drain into the Mediterranean.
Mm-hmm.
The Nile used to drain into the middle of the Sahara Desert. And the rerouting of the Nile was to fill in a crater from a war. And so they rerouted the Nile to aid in the flooding of the Mediterranean. And right between the Pillars of Hercules used to be a land bridge. They bust the land bridge out, and that's how the Mediterranean got to be salt water, because they filled it from the Nile, fresh water, in one area. In the other area, they filled it with the Atlantic Ocean by tearing that land bridge out. The same bridge the Etruscans used when they walked across to go into Europe. Right? So now that you know that the Nile that's not its original route. The only place where the route is original is the Mississippi. All of those, all that stuff over there is replicas of stuff over here.
Mm-hmm.
And because so much time has lapsed since that stuff was built, we think that the ancient building of it was contemporary when it wasn't. If you get this book, it's called Popol Vuh. It tell you in there that the ancestors created us from maize.
Mm-hmm. Corn.
I'm gonna let that rest on that one.
I did a tape on it. Let's roll this next one because this some good stuff we got here, man. Doc already broke that down about one of the Four Winds, which was one of the ships that was locked in Nubaru force field from the Ninja fleet from Meldeck, crashed down. I think it was the West Wind or one of them that crashed down into that and made that going when it was Tiamat. But that ain't the point. But the point I'm trying to say is they got pictures. So it just ties in what the other people just said about the Valley of the Kings and the other guys saying they found the others, just tied all in that, hey, these people were already here. Or the people they call Egyptians.
Yeah. So the whole thing is this. In order for the outer African theory not to be crushed upside his head, they have to try to justify everything from a perspective of coming out of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
America is the original cradle of Earth civilization. All innovations of the world always came from here. Right? Mm-hmm. We call it in the Atlantean civilization. Atlantis was just one part of the global civilization of the era.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
All this stuff. You got the first dynasty. The first dynasty, scribe said that the Egyptian plateau was already there when they got there. Right? Because they came post pyramid wars.
Right.
So you won't never be able to see what was going on back then if somebody that could tap into the record to tell us. Everybody trying to make the Bible fit America. The Bible is after the fact, an afterthought. Everything had to be geared to the control measure. Now we so addicted to biblical information and it's so saturated throughout all of our studies that not only are we from a Europeanized Afrocentric origin of everything, but we also have a religious biblical reference. And none of that stuff has ever been proven true.
That's right.
Right? But you can still see the geometry in there. You can still see the astrology and the astronomy in there. But you don't take 500-year-old information and apply it to something that's 5,000 years old. It don't apply. It had to be some adjustments made to first find what is the parallels and what is the differences. So you do a comparative analysis. What they have back then that we don't have now, what do we have now that they didn't have back then? When you start trying to understand what's taking place in those civilizations, you start to realize that, wait a minute, all of this stuff is told to us with a control measure as the foundation of why they even telling it to us.
Right.
As soon as we start looking at the world outside of the lens of the Bible, the whole world look different. Don't look the same. And then the longer you're looking at it out of a non-Christian, Hebrew, or Islamic lens, and you look and you like somebody lying.
Right.
You just get a foreboding feeling that somebody is not telling the truth. And all of these finds, these discoveries, they're not new discoveries, but the information is just now reaching what we call mainstream recognition.
Right.
Right? Because now people pulling out the old textbooks, the books from 1800s and 1700s gathering information. That's some hard stuff to read, but the information is valuable if you want to understand what's taking place today. Right? Because before they decided to go with the caste system, they was going with a military conquest. They was losing, so they had to switch the game up.
Hey, now let me roll this one right here because you said something about the map switch. I think this one attests to the maps being switched around. Bible story, the Bible, even if you read it correctly, even alludes to the fact that hey, this is the old land. This is the ancient land. This is where Adam and the Adam and Eve, so the so-called first person and first man. And then we already. What about the Arab Perry? Why? We already found that was over here. So could you go in like a little bit on that the Garden of Eden, the Y chromosome, the Adam and Eve scenario thing?
Well, we know people was made over here because the signature carbon of corn is in all of the people.
Go ahead.
And like I told you earlier, the Popol Vuh said we was made from maize. Maize is corn.
Go ahead.
So look, the reason why I try to steer away from the biblical narrative is because I know what the book is for and what it was intended to do. Right? And I know about things that was translated and added after the fact that they say that it didn't happen.
Right.
Right. So I don't really biblical information to me is like comics. Using the comic book for a reference.
That's funny.
But a lot of that stuff still have some validity to it. It's just that it don't mean what we think it means. It ain't talking about what we think it's talking about. And the names have all been changed.
Right.
So
that's funny, man, because I heard somebody say one time and they made a good analogies, and I said, man, that's because he was debating a Christian, right? And the Christian was saying it's good stuff in this book, right? And he was saying, well, it's like this, man. He made a good analogy. He said, man, if it was some good, like you like salad, right? He said, if it was some good lettuce inside of the trash can, and would you dig it out and eat it? And the dude was like, heck nah. He's like, well, that's the same as the Bible. It's got some good stuff in it. Yeah, it got some good stuff in it, but it's like digging it out the trash. It's like it's already it's contaminated. It could be contaminated. The good stuff could be contaminated because it's inside of the trash. So,
the reason the Bible written the way it's written is to draw on your genetic memory without waking you up.
Mm-hmm.
To convince you to follow a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
The Quran is a spinoff of the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we call the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was designed to control the temperament of the people native in the Middle East. They couldn't control them. They used to call them the people, the demons of the flame. It's with the Chaldean. Nobody gonna never translate the word Chaldean in the English for you. They'll tell you they don't know what it means.
Right.
But it means demon people of the flame.
Mm-hmm.
So when they was trying to figure out a way for the Catholic Church to control that, that's when they sent Khadijah and Waraka and them other Catholics to tutor Muhammad. Right? And so they say Muhammad the only prophet ever went to the Arabs, right? Where did Abraham come from?
Right. But man, based on what I'm seeing now, based on the story, based on the maps, man, if it was Abraham, he had to be over here.
Abraham is an acronym. Ab means heart in Kemet.
Right.
Ra means the Most High Father God.
Yeah. Son
Kim,
God.
Kim is the same root word. Cam, Ham means dark, black.
People.
Remember, Osiris was called the Lord of the Perfect Black.
Right.
Right. So when you translate Abraham, right, then it's Ab, Ra, Kim, heart of the black God.
Very much. Makes sense.
The irony of that is that Isis is the heart of the black God, according to the book of the coming forth by day, where Ra referred to her as my heart. He also gave her one of his eyes. And he also called her all of those epithets that they call Jesus in the New Testament.
Yeah, funny you say that, bro, because it's a story, a part of our Nana's story where she go to the underworld for 3 days and 3 nights, and she tell her homegirl, I think it's her name is it was Nep is one of her names, but it's another name that they call her in the Sumerian tongue. But she tell her that, hey, if I don't come back in 3 days, go for help. Go find Inky, somebody that can get me out of here. But it seems like they took that same, because that story predates the story that they got, the Christian line. So it sounds like they took that 3 days and 3 nights story from our Nana, from ISIS,
Okay,
and
so
then
now
put it onto Jesus. Yeah.
you look at how long do the moon stay dark? From crescent to crescent.
Uh,
Yeah,
like
waning moon. Waning moon is when the moon is fading away. Then you got dark moon, and then you got first moon when you first see it again. How many days between the final phase of the waning moon and the first phase
28 days,
of
right?
3 days?
Oh no, 3 days. Yeah. 2 and 6.
Okay, now when you're looking at the the moon worship, it's secondary. It's magic,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the same as solar magic, but it's upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Silver key, the lunar key.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're going through the 3 days in the underworld, it's represented by the 3 days, the darkness of the moon, which
Mm-hmm.
is when the energy from the moon Lilith permeates again, and the woman can then tap into the Lilith energy. And remember, Saturn is the lord of the underworld. Lilith is the moon of Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
So for 3 days, you don't see the moon. That's pre-Islamic um, Middle Eastern folklore. That was where the moon went for 3 days.
Mm. And that make because a lot of the I noticed a lot of the stuff that they doing is dealing with motions of the moon or the sun, like even Passover. When they pass over the 33 degrees longitude, they celebrate Easter. The Christians call it Easter. The Jewish people call it Passover. But it's all dealing with the motions of the sun. But the elites and some of the clergies, high ranking clergies, they know this information, but they get paid 501c3s, skull and bones agreements to lead us, lead the sheeple and say, oh no, Jesus, give me $25. Jesus gonna come back now. I'm telling you, I seen him in a dream. I seen it. Niggas be selling, they sell it, bro. And then look, what really hurt my feelings, and I'm still hurt about it. Cause I came up as Christian, right? My granddaddy was a pastor. Both my granddaddy, my mama's mama, daddy, and my daddy, they both had their own church. And once I found out that King James sent the goons on us, it really hurt, man. And then I found out that the Inquisition is the colonizers. The Inquisitionists is the Christians. They the main colonizers. Christianity is the main colonizers around the whole world. They the one that really colonize people.
Listen, the The ones who control the religions, they're not none of them religions.
Yeah, I know what you're gonna get. I know what you're getting at. Go ahead. Go on and go in.
Right? The black hand control all three branches of those monotheistic Abrahamic religions.
Right.
Right? They all serve a purpose at a different time.
Right.
Right? So when you activate them to serve the purpose you created them for, you have to create the phenomenon that they need to see to verify that you the one.
Right.
So they see all this phenomenon, but they not seeing the one.
Right.
But they ain't supposed to recognize it when they see him no way.
Right.
They supposed to think he crazy, batshit crazy, and don't know what he talking about until they find out he know what he talking about, and then they gonna be like, whoa. Right? It was foreigners that latched on before we did.
Right.
People from everywhere else, because they already wrote prophet of God was not without honor except in his own home among his own kinsmen.
Yeah,
the one closest to see what your skill set is. They ain't gonna understand it because it's gonna be above their pay grade.
Right.
But they gonna think because it's above their pay grade, it should be above yours too, because you grew up in the same village, house, neighborhood, block, projects. So you couldn't be that much different than them. But you know, you can raise the game dog in the pack of curs. It don't matter. Right. Raise a game dog in the pack of curs. He don't know that they all curs. That's his pack. He don't care.
Yeah.
But when it comes time to get down to business, he the only one getting down to business. The rest of them ran under shit.
That's right.
That's what we dealing with. That's what it's like growing up a chief among regular people, because you always the game dog, tell how ready to scrap, and then everybody else is running.
I haven't seen it.
Where they going?
I seen niggas take off running with the gun on them while we fighting. They got a gun. He take off running with the gun. Man, what you going, man? Pull it. Come on, man. So he got the gun on. He running. Come on, man. We out here getting toe out. Yeah. That thing. Yeah, hey, bro, I want a couple more. We got about 20, 15 more minutes, but I'm going to run like 2 or 3 clips back to back. We'll talk on them, then we'll take what he said that these Native Americans, well, the people that they saying Native Americans, said that when they got there, they already seen, I'm thinking that they call them the old Mississippians, but they said that they was Egyptians. They really was the old Mississippians, though. But who is these natives that saying they came 100 and some years? I'm thinking it was the Huns or whoever. Somebody even had to come before the colonizers came. That was, and I know Hussein came, but that was on the West Coast. But who came to Memphis on the East Coast before this 1492? That were good guys and said that these guys were Egyptians here before we came. That's interesting, man. What you think about that, Rob?
Yeah, well, you gotta remember, we was already doing trade across the Pacific with the Asian community. You remember me a long time ago, like the reason we got all these people named Lee in our family is because it's an ancient contract with the Asians.
Yeah, I can even see the
right. Yeah. And so they had already been coming over here. And that's how they was able to be informed. The ones who took sides with us was informed by the ones that they was dark from being over here. They was still dark with straight hair or hollow hair, be more accurate.
That's right.
Right, but they was the ones who was telling the newcomers the instructions of the land. You ain't allowed to change the name of Memphis.
Right.
Right. And you got 2 cities of the sun. You got Miami and you got LA.
Right.
You got one city of thieves that's the city of Thebes, which is Chicago, and then you got Memphis. Memphis wears heart on his sleeve. That's why its name can't change. Memphis is Memphis because it's always gonna be Memphis.
Right.
And you go down there with them shenanigans if you want to.
And a fight come with it. They'll tell you that down there.
You outsiders can't run Memphis.
Yeah.
Right. All you gotta do is take your tough ass down there.
Yeah.
You find out. Yeah. It's got places like that, like LA. If you go out there respectable, them gangbangers some of the coolest people to hang out with. But if you go down there on that bravado shit, they gonna test your gangster. They gonna test your gangster, and they got a different gangster to test you at every level you want to be tested on.
That's the truth right there. Hey, y'all, we'll take some questions from the crowd. We'll take about 5-6 questions from the crowd, and then we'll get out of here.
Before that, so you heard them mentioning the word Tamiri.
Yeah, Tamiri, yeah.
Tamiri means the land of Mary.
Yeah, that's right.
Mary is another name for Isis or Offset.
That's right.
You got to remember that when you read the Jesus story.
That's right.
Mary is the mother.
That's right.
Emmanuel is the son.
That's right.
But they ain't following the son. They following the mother throughout the story. But if you understand character flaws, you can see the difference in when the son talking versus when the mama talking. The son is telling them dogs to sell off your garments and bob swords and knives, preparing to take the Roman soldiers to war. Right? The mother is the one that's saying, love thy neighbor as thyself. Right? If one smites you on one cheek, you turn on the other. That's the mother. She's showing grace. It's a play. The original script was a 21-part play written by a first century writer named Josephus Flavius. This is where your Gospels and your Acts come from.
Right.
Right. They didn't have television. So they used to act out stories in plays. The most legendary story was the works of Josephus Flavius. Right. That was telling you a fictitious story about everybody watching the return of the Anointed One. Right? The Anointed One can only be anointed by the mother.
Right.
Right? And so the mother got to anoint the son. That's 13-7. Queen Mother sealed the 7 sons, 7 seed. Now, if we knew more intimately the details of the holy drama, when we see these stories, we know what character is supposed to be there and who did they replace them with. If you go back to Genesis, when Cain got kicked out of the garden because he killed Abel.
Right.
So then Adam and Eve got another son. You remember his name?
Seth.
Because Seth was a replacement for the loss of Abel. Remember?
Right.
Okay, now, when you go down the name chart of what Seth naming his children, then you go down the name chart of what Cain is naming his children.
Right.
They start turning into the same names.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
All the way to the two-ball Cain. Why do they start turning into the same name? That's called usurpation.
That's right.
You name your children. This is an old Anunnaki thing. It's all in the way that Enlil and Enki operate and trying to take each other's birthright.
Yeah, Enlil said this in the Lost Books of Enki. He told Cain, Nertu to go tell Cain to start doing it. In the Lost
Books now,
yeah.
When they start naming them each other's names, this is to trade the places in the historical record.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, they lived thousands of years. We only live 100, if we lucky. And then they poison us now to cut that in half to about 60. Right? So we lived 60 years. After we came back 10 times, that's 600 years, and they didn't been here the whole time, telling the same lie.
Right.
Right? We got to figure out that they told the lie. But we got a short amount of time to do it. We got about 50 years. Right? Because we only can tell the story after that 50 years for about another 12 years, and then we done met our mortality rate. Right? Now, they telling us that Helen in Greece was the goddess. And tell you who her parents is. They even have the Hellenistic wars fighting over Helen of Troy, who's named after the goddess Helen. Okay, now, when you get to Rome, Helen is no longer a woman. Helen is a man in Rome, in the Roman pantheon of gods. So now they even switched them out. That's called beheading the god. Right? So when they switch them in the historical book, they got to give you the clues to put the god back together. Put the head back on the rightful god. We know that the Helen in Rome is an imposter because it came after the Helen in Greece.
Right.
Right? Now, how do we find her? We have to know Kemetic history and writing. So we know that the princess that was sent from Egypt was a Psi priestess, a birth maiden to civilized Greek when they built the first university on the island of Crete. And we know that she came with two sisters because it's in the historical record in Kemet. Right? And so the culture is named after the goddess or the daughter of the pharaoh who is going to teach the culture to these people. And it was originally a matriarchal culture, by the way. Now, they call Greek culture Hellenistic culture. Right? Now, when you go to the Avengers, when Ragnarok happened, they released Hela. No longer Helen, it's Hela. Right? From the underworld, and she came to reclaim her throne. Okay, now, so we know that three sisters came. So where is the Greek lore about the three sisters? It's the lore about the three Gorgons. Right? And we know that the ranking system in Egypt went 10 as number one. And one as the graduate or the beginning. Right? So Medu is 10 in Kemetic. Psi is the birth priestess. So now we know it's Medusa in the Gorgons, who is the three sisters that left Kemet to settle Egypt. And the description is that when they seen Medusa, she turned men into stone. Right? But really what they telling you is she was so beautiful that when a man looked at her, he froze in his place just long enough for one of his sisters to take his head. Right? But they exaggerated the story by saying that they turned into stone. They didn't turn into stone, they just was captivated by her beauty.
Right. Makes sense.
Right? Now, they tell the story that her hair was serpents over what they call the sacred locks. that became known as the Natty Dread. That was in reference to the Mau Mau, who was in Kenya fighting against, I think it was the English. And they assembled the Mau Mau, which is the ancient code of conduct for warriors, to take no prisoners. Right? And when they seen those dreadlocks, it was too late. And any survivors left the legend of the Natty Dread. Right? Contemporary with that, you have a Rasta movement developing in Jamaica. And a lot of the elders who left Kenya came there with dreads. And it became part of the cultural identity of the Rasta movement because of the ancient Mau Mau. The ancient Mau Mau can only be called by a high priest in conjunction with a war chief. Once you take your oath as a Mau Mau, you ready for whatever. Right? So the dreads, the fear of the dreads is the fear of the warrior, which traces back to Medusa. And this is why they're saying that she had serpents on her head, because she was able to control her electromagnetic field. You ever seen a Tesla ball? The lady touch it and her hair stand up? That's electromagnetic field. You can do that and control your hair when you all the way full 100% mitochondrial driven. That source energy pulsing through your veins. That's your X-Man gene. Your junk DNA that was deactivated using science and birth editing programs in ancient times. Now we're seeing the result of what was done back then and who we are today. They wanted us to be more compliant, more docile, and more quick to negotiate so they can continue to step on our head, kick us in the balls, and kick us down the flight of stairs. We decided that we gonna be kind, we gonna be courteous, but you put your hands on me, I'm gonna break your back.
Right.
That's it. It's not personal. I'm gonna meet the force that you push towards me times 10. You try to choke me, I'm gonna snatch your head off with my bare hands. Right? So now, because Big Mama say turnabout is fair play, that means if they did it to me first, I got the right to do it back to them.
Yeah.
And if it's instant karma, they can't call it revenge. Because there was no malice or forethought. So you being already thought about it before it happened. So if it happened, you already know what to do.
Yeah.
Don't waste time to give them a chance to analyze your mind. Deal with the situation, get it over with, get the fuck on. So when we go through those patterns are the MO of the captor. Whether it's the name swapping, the identity theft, the rewriting of a story to confuse you to its proper meaning, right? To draw your emotions to the degree that you suppress your intellectual thought process. They want you to start feeling before you think, but you're supposed to think your way through your feelings. But nobody never told us when we were babies that when we get angry, we still got to remember to think so we don't make foolish choices.
Right.
But when we get to be adults, without that lesson, a lot of us find ourselves behind bars in short order.
Right? That ain't funny, but that's true, though.
Yeah. If you don't know how to think, you're going to end up being a victim. Whether you want to be or not. And a lot of people think they the predator until the predator come get their ass. Now you sitting here next to the prey. We in the cave together.
That ain't funny, but it's true. I'm telling you. Somebody
See,
said,
go ahead,
and I said, somebody said, can you ask Rod what's the relationship with ISIS, Jackson, and Mississippi? Yeah, because ISIS is in Mississippi. It's like what
So
like yeah.
ISIS, Mississippi is ISIS territory. It's called Bigfoot territory, right? Because of a compact between ISIS and the Enkiduites. I don't know if they know who that is, but there was a compact between ISIS and the Enkiduites where they could roam the forest unmolested by humans. If when she need them, they can show up to help her. That's ancient. That go all the way back to the Atlantic, right? The Enkiduites have also intermingled with humans and had children with them.
Yeah.
After 2 generations, the Hertzism, one of the side effects of being mixed with Bigfoot DNA, start to subside, right? But you still see the remnants in what we call the hairy back motherfuckers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So when you talking about ISIS, ISIS is the goddess that every god loves.
Yeah.
So when she called on them, they don't know how to tell her no.
Yeah.
Right? And well, yeah, because he wanted to be her.
Yeah.
Or cross-dressing ass.
Yeah.
Okay, now he even gave me into her complaints most of the time.
Yes, I do.
Most of the time, he do what his sister tell him to do.
That's right.
But this Earth situation was too valuable for the survival of Nibiru. He didn't want to hear it. He thought that the best way to control it was just through military regimentation and the systems that the military for efficiency. Mm-hmm. The military systems is used for efficiency, right? And the rapid training of those who don't know into an expert in the fastest amount of time, because they don't got 2,000 years to live. They only got 100. So they got to be on accelerating learning programs for everything military structured. So anyway, the Jackson part. Jackson is Masonic. Mm-hmm. It's the reference to the pillar of Joaquin. Joaquin and Boaz are the 2 pillars, the severity and the mercy.
That's what?
The Jackson comes off the Joaquin on the blue house. But there's a red house version as well. Then you have the name Mississippi. Mississippi breaks down is Miss Isis on pi. Pi means standing on your post, center of the circle.
Pi.
And Mississippi is Mrs. Isis. Is standing on pi. Yeah. Right? So we looking at a coded message coming through the Masonic Lodge, primarily off the Blue House, which is the father line, which is a political aspect of the tribes. But we use it to determine which tribe is advancing into the forefront. So the whole of the South, where we call it the fertile region of the South, is the land of ISIS. But when you start moving north, you start calling it Bigfoot territory. Bigfoot, in turn, gives you Louisiana, the big boot, the moon boot, because it's telling you what energy to harness. It's the reason that it's in that line of demarcation. Whereas the stiletto boot is Italy. So it's the moccasin facing off with the stiletto. The tribal moccasin is where you get the design for what we call moon boots, right? And you can see them in Mesoamerican artwork real clear. That's the design of Louisiana. Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama is the Three Sisters territory. But Alabama is the father line's Red House territory, which is Alabama is Ali Baba, the great father, right? And Louisiana is French, and it's saying the daughter of Louis, right? Which takes you back to one of the French monarchs, in the renaming of Louisiana. So the territory remained the same, but the name being changed. Just like they changed all of the tribal names from what we told them our name was to what they told us it's going to be. Because they didn't never think we would remember that we was those tribes. Even with the misnomers, we still able to identify from our territory where we come from.
Yeah, Rob, we already over time. We had 2:15. That's pretty good though. I think this was a good one because we needed to talk about the switch the 3-car Molly on the maps. So I guess my last question would be: so when do you think they started the switching of the renaming stuff? I don't think it happened with the first colonized, the Spanish. I think was what you call it, the black conquistadors. That they were the first ones, or did people that come over here that we're allowed to mix in with us, like Ho Chi and them, did they got a little plot of land? They said this was it, or did we even call it? Did we even have names for the land? This is just our land. What did we call it? You know,
the land is generally Mother Earth, but the way that it sounds different is which tribe is pronouncing it in what language.
That makes sense. Hit that like, y'all. Hit that subscribe button. Hey, if you want to show Rod Hayes some love, we got his Cash App on the screen. We know we need Rod. We don't need him working on the plantation. We got about 2,000 people in here right now. If we could get some of y'all, at least all, if everybody can send them $5, that'll put them in the game for the rest of the month, man. Or if like everybody send them $1, that'll help them out. We'll take whatever you got. Show some love. We'll be back. Hey, what else you got? Anything you want to say before we get out of here, Rod?
Yeah, I was just talking about something and I started coughing.
Yeah.
Trying to remember what.
Oh, you was talking about it was about ISIS, the boot, Mississippi. Somebody drop it in the chat. The land. Somebody dropped the land.
Yeah. So the same way some tribes call their big mama Madia.
Yeah.
Some call her Ma.
Yeah. Nana.
Some call her Nana.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Some call them TT.
Mm-hmm.
We all know we talking about Big Mama though.
Mm-hmm.
When the boy be out, my nana said, we know he talking about his Big Mama. We know he not talking about his mama.
Got Nana's right there too.
Yeah. So it was the same way with how we referred to the land, Mother Earth, Father Sky, right? And the name changes became part of the documentation. Mm-hmm. Just like we used to all call ourselves either kinfolk or we the people or the people. And they use that in their slogan for the Constitution as part of their hypnotic seduction, because when you translate it into any other native tongue, it's going to tell you the name of the tribe.
The folk.
The real name of the tribe. But most